Hi y'all, welcome to Urbanite Farms. Come look at a little slice of heaven. We're going to take a garden tour today, June 1st, 2020. And we broke land here back in March, about 9 weeks ago, and started sowing some seeds. We started with lettuce, which is our cool weather crop. And then we put in some potatoes, which you see here. We have 2 rows of sweet potatoes and 3 rows of white potatoes. We've covered them over once or twice and put them up in mounds so they're easier to harvest. And next you'll see we've got some cabbage. That's looking nice. And then we get into our summer squash here. We've got some zucchini plants. I don't know about y'all, but our garden we like to companion plant. We don't like to use pesticides, so we plant some marigolds here along the outer edge. And you'll also find some catnip tucked in here in between the zucchini. Here we have our Brussels sprouts, and we have radishes in between each one of those. And come on down here and we've got some tomato plants. I believe we have about 10 different varieties of tomato plants this year. 2 full rows going all the way through the garden. And we've got onions and basil planted with those to help ward off pests. Next you'll see we've got some winter squash we started from seed, and it's going to be climbing up this trellis we added this year. And then my husband's favorite part of the garden, we have peppers, a plethora of peppers, all different kinds. We've got jalapenos and ghost peppers and green and red peppers, cayenne, habanero, and you'll notice that there's onions planted in between the peppers. That also helps keep away the pests so that we'll have a nice bountiful harvest this coming year of peppers. Then we just put these in the ground yesterday. We have some little artichoke plants here. I'm excited about those. We've never grown those before. And next we have some edamame, which is another new addition to the garden this year. Edamame is a Asian bean that is very popular in stir fries, so it's one of my son's favorites and mine as well. And if you come down this row a little bit, we have our cucumbers, soon to be pickles, that are growing here. We've got a few nice ones coming up. They're a little bit further down. Most of these were started from seed, but we do have a few we bought from the store, so they're pretty big. Those are the ones that the cucumbers are on. Maybe we'll take a look at that later on. We put some trellises up this year for our winter squash. As you know, winter squash trails on the ground sometimes 15 feet, and we didn't want to allocate that much of the garden to it, so we decided to trellis it up. And so we're going to have some hanging gourds and hanging acorn squash and butternut squash. And our companion planting between these, we have some nasturtiums and some marigolds and again some radishes. And that's a little baby filler I plugged in. You can do that if you want. If you have a squash that dies off, just plant another seed. It'll come up pretty quick. Next we have beans in between our eggplants. My beans just sprouted up yesterday, and those are some asparagus beans. Asparagus beans are really neat. They're like a foot to 2 feet long. Really super cool beans to grow. And then if you continue on to our next row, we have another row of sweet potatoes. This was a little bit of an experiment we did this year. We have the 2 rows in the shaded area, and then we have a row in the full sun. So we'll see which one does better. And then we have our corn and pole beans. This is a great idea. The Native American Indians used to do this. They would plant beans next to the corn because the pole beans will grow right up the stalk, and it saves you space in your garden. We've got 4 rows of those. You really need 4 rows to get your corn to germinate properly, so that's why we did such a large 4 rows of those. Next we have our okra. Struggled a little bit this year with the okra. I think we put it in the ground a little too soon, but it's coming along nicely now. And I just planted some seeds with that this week, some radish seeds, again to help keep pests away. And next we have my son's favorite area of the garden. We have watermelons. this is the watermelon patch over here. So he's got a few he planted 2 weeks ago or so, and then some we planted just the other day. And then we come to our boxes. We have four raised boxes. We've got, this is mint. I love to make some mint tea. Occasionally you get a little squash bug in there, we'll kill that guy. And we've got this half of the box dedicated to mint. Mint is an invasive plant. It will take over wherever you put it, so always put it in a pot or in a raised box to keep it from taking over your garden. Then we have our jalapeno plants. We're gonna jar some jalapenos this year, maybe make some cowboy candy. We can always link some recipes to that later on for you. But we have, I believe, about 50 jalapeno plants in the ground this year. And then this raised box here was carrots, sage, and kale, although I think it's mostly weeds. And we have some rhubarb down here. Rhubarb, you harvest the root. Oh, did I say rhubarb? Oh, horseradish. My husband's correcting me. This is horseradish. We want to grow rhubarb, but we haven't been able to start it yet this year. Freudian slip there. Then we've got some more boxes here. This is our extra lettuce box. I use this as a filler, and we kind of eat off this. And then I have some perennial flowers that come back each year. My lilac bush. There's some lilies in there. Some forget-me-nots, a couple other things that come back every year. And more peppers. And you see the little cups here. These are our basil plants. And those are going to be planted today. Those help ward off pests as well. This is my flower box, my cut flower box. As you can see, we've got some beautiful sunflowers growing. And then at the other end, those are some zinnias. I love my zinnias and sunflowers. This is our little rock garden area. Anytime we find a rock in the soil, we bring it over here for our froggy friend that lives underneath the water dish. Again, more peppers. And then our muskmelon box. This is full of honeydew and cantaloupe, which are a few of our family's favorite melons. So I'm looking forward to that harvest this year. And we've got nasturtiums and marigold seeds planted in there. So this is our garden. This is Urbanite Farms, so we hope you enjoyed the garden tour and you have a bountiful garden yourself and a blessed day.